You win.
Okay, well, good evening, everyone. So, yes, we do not look like Ken or Diana Burke, so we are Greg and Minna. So, yes, we are running the show this today, I should say, for this leadership, because Ken and Diana are still in Ireland. So, if you haven't wished Diana Burke happy birthday, she's sleeping now probably, but you should have wished her a happy birthday. No, I was kidding. So, you can wish her a belated happy birthday tomorrow. So, they're having a great time, and so we're going to be talking about obviously a continuation of the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. What a phenomenal book. And today we're on number 9, The Law of Magnetism, which is absolutely fantastic. So if you want to kick us off
Yeah,
real quick and then we'll
so
get started.
I see there's just a few of us on here. So if you know of someone that should be on this meeting, you need to be texting them, let them know, jump on because, I read this a chapter again today, and my goodness, and then what we're going to hear from Danny and Diane is amazing. So if you want to get to the next level with leadership, you've got to have your people on the Zoom. I mean, everybody
Yep.
should be learning together.
Yep, and you're all leaders on here, which is great. So we're all leading and growing, and we want to become better leaders, right? We want to be level 10 leaders. That's our whole goal. So we want to be obviously be able to lead more people. And so what we're going to do is we got obviously Danny and Diana McDaniels had studied this, and they're going to kind of preface this in the video we're going to play. So we're going to play their video. It's about 30 minutes long. You're definitely want to kind of take notes because trust me, we've been taking notes every time. And you learn a ton from this. And so the most important part, then we're going to kind of open for questions, make some different comments and certain things they're sharing.
And this is being recorded.
And it's being recorded
Okay.
as well. So, yeah, so if people can't make it, they can catch the recording. But the most important part of this is really learning from other leaders that basically are what are they doing, how are they applying it. John has a lot of great stories, a lot of great information, but the best thing is once again is to apply this and he talk about that. So we're going to kick it off with the video right now, and then we're going to come back after it gets done and answer some questions. So take some good notes, put some of those good questions, and then we will get started. So here we go. And let me know if you can't hear because I basically should have everything set up correctly, but I just want to make sure. So here's a recording from Danny and Diane.
The law of magnetism. So we're obviously the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership with John Maxwell. And the purpose of this whole series is to not just bring to life the book. That's not the purpose of the series. The purpose is to be able to read the book, the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, to study the book and the principles in the book and have and begin to allow those principles to be applied to our life. And so that's that's where we see this thing going. We've seen it before when the original book came out in 1999. We not only read this book, but we went through the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership on a 21-week series with a conference call and the cassette tapes that were created from that conference call. And we saw everybody around us flourish in all facets of life, not just in our business, but in their marriages, in their jobs, getting promotions, people that became business owners as a result. And so people just began to flourish because they were applying the principles of the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. And so our purpose and desire is for you to grow as a leader in every facet of your life so you can be a world changer in everything you do, in your marriage, in your family, in your church, in your community, in your profession, in your entrepreneurship as you start businesses, and even in our business here as we work together. So it's really all encompassing. We're not just trying to get you to become a better brand partner. This is about you. This is about wholeness, you becoming emotionally healthy and in every facet of your life. And so today is the law of magnetism. Any comments, Don?
No, I agree. That's really what our heart's desire is for you guys to see the ways that you can take what we're talking about and implement it, because it's, all these are great teachings and they're all great words, but nothing changes unless we decide to make changes. And if we want change, then we have to decide to change. And so we're hoping that you're really getting some great revelation out of this, and you're really, taking a hard look at yourself, because if you do desire, to accomplish great things here or in life, being a better wife, a better husband, a better mom, a better dad, all of these things apply, a better friend, whatever it may be, all of these things apply. in great ways. So, you know, it is always the self-evaluation so that you can take what you're learning and that you are applying it. We've heard last week was absolutely fantastic. We know that Rick and Brittany did a great job. And so again, we hope that everything that you're learning from all of us, that there's application involved.
Okay, so let's dive in and look at the law of magnetism here. This is, Dinah and I love this. You know, we love this topic. Actually, I just got off the phone right before this Zoom with one of the most magnetic people that I've ever known in my life. His name's Pastor Mike Gowans. He's down in San Jose, Costa Rica right now. And I said, man, I wish you were on here to teach this chapter today. And it's because he's truly a magnetic human being. He's a pastor at Bethel Chandler Church in Arizona. And that's why he's one of my best friends, is because he is magnetic. He's a people magnet. And so let's talk about how magnetism can affect our leadership in our life today. So I'm going to pull up some slides that my queen here created, because she's really good at it.
Oh yeah, they're very simple.
Well, she created them this morning, you know, because we're after our Bible study, you know, this is kind of where we were this morning, and she can throw stuff together pretty good for someone that's not a graphic artist. So, you know, John Maxwell says who you are is who you attract. And that is the topic of today, because you got to look around you and who you're attracting. Think about all the people you're attracting. That's really who you are.
That's a great self-evaluation of who you are when you stop and really evaluate who is around you and the people that are your closest friends and who you're recruiting.
And it's not necessarily negative. It could be positive. It could be extremely positive. It could be extremely negative.
It could be very eye-opening.
It could be just kind of in between.
Uh-huh.
But when we self-analyze our life and see and really analyze the people that we're attracting, it does help us grow and discover our own blind spots. So you don't attract, you know, who you want, you attract who you are. Your character, your energy, and your consistency set the tone. So ask yourself today, would I follow me? That's a big question. Okay, so here's a great assignment. Hopefully you have a journal out, because we're gonna have a moment of silence here. And it's going to come with these three. You don't have to think about a lot about this, but you do want to write them down. Who are the three people in LifeWave you know that you would want on your team if you could recruit them today? Anybody? Who are the three people? Okay. And we're about to go silent. But who are also the top three people in your life that you would want on your team if they would say yes to you today? Meaning the top three people in your life that are not in this business. So three people in the company. And if you're brand new, you may not know three people in the company, so that's okay. But at least the next one applies to you. Who are the top three people in your life outside of this company that you would want on your team if they would say yes to you today? Okay, write those 6 people down. 2 sets of 3. Okay, you probably didn't have to think too much about that, but hopefully those people are on your list. They're in your journal or on that sheet of paper in front of you. And there's a strong reason why those people came to your mind. So here it is. Go ahead, Di.
So yeah, so the very qualities you admire in others are the ones that you need to grow in yourself, because it really is about, you know, when you see other people, when they automatically come to your mind, there's things and qualities that are definitely something that you would automatically want or desire to grow in. So needless to say, that's just a key. Like, pay attention to those qualities. You don't just attract success, you attract the character behind success, because a lot of times we're thinking about, well, they're successful, but it goes back to there's things that made them successful. So we always have to figure out, like, what are those things that are, remember, magnetism, drawing you in to who they are and, you know, the type of individual that they are. So the people you wrote down will reflect back to you and who you need to become. It's that simple.
And, you know, this part of this idea came from, we just got back from Mexico with really 36 of different brand partners, but 25 of our trip earners from Passport to Paradise. And when we had our business training the day we were there, it was powerful business training by all of our senior presidential directors. And I can't remember which one it was, but I took notes on it. One of our senior presidential directors asked that question: close your eyes, and who are the top 3 people right now in LifeWave that if you could have them, and they'd be on your team and you could choose them, who would those 3 people be? Now, I'm not going to tell you who the 3 people I wrote down are, but when I look at all 3 of those people or couples, it's magnetism. It's magnetism all the way around and likability. Okay, so I want to tell you something about magnetism. Guys, a piece of steel has the ability, a piece of magnetized steel has the ability to pick up 12 times its weight. Magnetized steel. So look at this. You know, if I've got a piece of magnetized steel, if this is an example, you know, things are just going to stick to it. They're going to stick to it. Why? Because of its magnetism. And so I can actually have 12 times the weight on here. You know, I could grab wrenches on here and put on here. And it's just gonna keep loading up because this is magnetized. And picture if this was you in your life versus, you know, I know this pan is not steel, but it's the principle of this is demagnetized. So everything, everything that won't stick, that won't stick. Nothing's sticking, and because sometimes that's us. We're demagnetized, you know, and you know, we want people and we're trying to attract all these different people, but none of it ever sticks. But at the same time, all this same stuff right here, it's gonna stick. Well, it's all gonna stick. It's all gonna do it because I'm magnetized. So that's what you want your life to be. So what we want to do is we want to take a look at the qualities that can help you really in this process determine, are you magnetic or non-magnetic? You know, really, are you magnetized or are you demagnetized? Ooh. My screen locked up on me. It did that to me the other day. Y'all bear with me a second. Okay. I'm gonna go back and share this again. Okay, so let's take a look at this. The law of magnetism. A magnetized person usually has a high lid level. And they may not have started with the high lid level, like when we came into this industry. Did we have a high lid level?
No.
No, we did not have a high lid level.
No.
And consequently, did we have many friends get involved with this?
No, we did not. No.
I didn't have,
And
I had a couple of friends,
but no,
but they were on the same lid level as me.
and they didn't come along.
Exactly, and they
'Cause
didn't stick and stay.
They didn't want to grow. When you don't grow, you go. So we saw lots of that.
Did any family member come with us?
My
my side?
family, not on your side.
Zero
No,
on my
no,
side.
but my side,
You
yeah.
had like 2.
Sister and
Yeah,
brother and
sister.
mom and dad.
Yeah, sister, brother, mom and dad. So we had a low lid level, so people weren't attracted to us. We realized very quickly that we had to grow, and let's tell them right now. Very quickly, we realized, hey, we're missing something here. We didn't have this book either, but we realized people aren't going on direction. I mean, we want this thing to work and we want to get wealthy. We want freedom. We want all these things. This is 1997 and we're busting it and we're doing everything they said to do in the system. But we're getting a lot of no's, and it's from the people we love. And so we're like, why are the people that we love not attracted to us? Because our whole life was partying. You know, we were just, if we threw a party, they would all come. But if we weren't throwing a party, then no one was coming. And now we wanted to engage in a business and people weren't going our direction. Well, I quickly gravitated toward the owner of the company because he was magnetic. He was tall, he was strong, he was resolute, he was confident, he dressed for success, and he was clear with his vision, and he was uncompromising, and I was drawn to that. So I immediately began to start emulating him. And to the point where, you know, within 2 years, people were calling me by they were calling me like little Charlie, like his name was Charlie. So they saw him in me, and it was because I was emulating him.
Yeah, and the same thing happened to me. I mean, we're going to gravitate to people that we want to become more like, especially when in a business like this, or in life, you know, as you're wanting to move up the ranks in whatever success you're after, you're automatically going to gravitate to that. Well, there was a gal that was one of the top leaders in the company. And so I started wherever she was, I was going to be. If she was going to lead a meeting, I was at the meeting. If she was going to lead a training, I was at the training. I didn't know and I didn't understand all of the big benefits, but I knew to pay attention to everything about her. I paid attention to the way she dressed. I paid attention to her mannerisms. I paid attention to the way she spoke and how she spoke. I mean, I was just an absolute, recorder. I was recording everything about her and wanting to find my way in it. Again, we're not trying to become somebody else. We're trying to emulate those things that draw us into saying, I want to be like that person.
Yeah.
And so it was really awesome how both of us had our people that we were leaning towards, and it paid off incredibly well.
In regards to leadership, we've told you several times, many times, that we believe wholeheartedly, without a shadow of a doubt, that Jesus was the greatest leader that ever walked the face of the earth. And there's just no comparison, because he was the perfect human being and the perfect leader. And, the Apostle Paul, who was an incredible leader in his own right, who wrote, like, I think 2/3 of the New Testament, the Apostle Paul said, imitate me as I imitate Christ. So he's saying, I'm imitating the leader, guys. It's just follow the leader. I'm imitating him. So imitate me as I imitate him. Don't imitate me because I tell you to imitate me. Imitate me as I imitate him. Okay, so that's what we were seeing, and started catching on to this concept in an early on in this business 28 years ago. So a magnetized person is going to have confidence, and a demagnetized person is going to have fear. A magnetized person has faith. A demagnetized person has doubt. People on your list, the people on your list, you're probably seeing that they have faith. You're probably seeing that they have belief, because a demagnetized person has unbelief. They're not attracting anybody. All that is just like what I showed you with the steel and the magnetism of steel. A magnetized person has balanced energy. They're not spastic. There's people with a lot of energy, but they're spastic. They say spastic stuff. They don't even realize they're spastic, because you can't tell them they're spastic, because they won't even listen to you. When they'll ask you for advice and you give them advice, and they argue with you about the advice that you give them. And then they doubt the advice you give them, but they're spastic and they're hyperactive. And it's just too much. Then there's relaxed intensity. And the opposite of relaxed intensity is, just aggressive, when you don't even think you're being aggressive, but you are aggressive.
Aggressive and just over
Yes.
the top.
And you've got to examine these things, because if your business is not going where you want it to go, there are little things. It's like little fine tuning, like fine tuning an engine under the hood. And if you can fine tune those little things, relaxed intensity is a huge key, because we see people in and around our business who we love and we adore, but we can't go around telling all of our people that we know, hey, I can fix you. If you really want to make millions here, I can really fix you. Because it's obnoxious, for one, and it's kind of dictatorial, for two, and it's pompous. It's kind of pompous. But at the same time, we can see things in people through discernment and business savvy that are causing people to not go as fast as they want to go. And it's usually little things. It's not like they're all messed up. It's just little things. And some of those little things are just really too aggressive in how they talk to people. And they say robotic things. And I'll give you an example. There's a lot of people that have had success that haven't even had that much success, but have experience in direct sales through the years. And you try to use old tactics and old scripts and old ways of talking to people that don't work. Didn't work for you then, and it doesn't work now, but you think it sounds good, so you just use it. Guys, we've made tens of millions of dollars in this industry, and we've never had a script. It's not about you saying the same thing to everybody you get on the phone with, but some of you have little canned things that you say to everybody to try to get someone to get on the phone with you or get an appointment with them or whatever. And it's scripted in nature, and it's just abrasive, or it just sounds salesy.
repelling.
and things like that, instead of you just having some relaxed intensity and be authentic and be who you are and tell people what's on your heart at the moment when you're on the phone with them, why you want it, what the purpose is while you're talking to them, and what you have to offer them. And so the last one is, certain is the biggie. Magnetism comes through being certain. And when you're certain, when you just know that and we talked about certainty a couple of weeks ago. Everybody should watch that if you haven't watched it, from 2 weeks ago, because your life is about certainty. It's the certainty of how you think. It's the certainty of the seeds that you sow with your mouth, and it's the certainty of you believing that this is actually going to happen. And then uncertainty will cause everybody to fall away from you, and it just happens. Now, this just past week, we just saw many of our leaders, in and around for an entire week, in and around the swimming pool and around the resort, talking to people, and we got to see magnetism at work this week. That we're just in talking to strangers. But the ones that we saw and that we're so impressed with, it was people like Tory Brooks and people like Mark Delgado. And we're talking about one other person, and
Rick Robertson.
Yeah, and Rick Robertson. Take those three guys, Rick Robertson, Tory Brooks, and Mark Delgado. And there's a lot of similarities in all three of them in their approach with people. They were recruiting people all week long. I don't even know how many new brand partners they got in Mexico, but all three of them, they weren't aggressive. They were just magnetic. And it was their confidence, it's their high lid level, it's their belief, it's their balanced energy. Like, you don't go on vacation and recruit someone at the pool without balanced energy. It's like, hey, you need to know about our company. We got this patch and this patch, and then you try to you're just trying to get all this LifeWave information in them. And they're just nodding their head at you, going, please leave, I'm on vacation. Please leave, I'm on vacation. No, all three of these guys were it was just about caring for somebody and getting in the life of somebody and listening to them and getting to know them.
Drawing them in.
Yes.
The magnetic energy that people were being drawn into them, because these things are things that are natural with them. It's become part of who they are. And so therefore they are absolutely the law of magnetism. It's working very, very well for them.
Yeah. And then we're on a call with Joe Navarro and on the team Zoom, and you got Joe Navarro, talking to a business owner. I think it was a doctor, wasn't it? Yeah. Or a wellness clinic person or something like, someone who runs a wellness clinic. You used it on the team Zoom the other night, talking about how she said, I have like patches from 5 different people in my drawer. And
several people have talked to me. I've 5 different patches. They've all sampled me.
Yeah. And so she had no interest in it whatsoever. And he goes, well, you haven't heard from me. You haven't heard the story from me. See, that's magnetism. When you can look someone in the eye and go, well, hold on here. And he said it, and says it with dignity. But you haven't heard from me yet. Let me tell you what this is all about. So it's the strength of the it's faith and belief. It is charisma. It's balanced energy, but it is confidence. It's all of this put together, where when Joe knows what he has in his hands, and that wellness person or that doctor sees it as something totally opposite, he turns them. You know how he turns them? With magnetism. And so you too can get better at magnetism. But it's going to be taking the list of those 3 people or 6 people total that you listed and start going through this kind of checklist and go, okay, what is it about those people that I listed that is really attractive to me? And do I have those same qualities? And if I don't have those qualities, how can I get those qualities? That was me in 1997. I studied the founder. I studied the guy that I wanted to emulate. And I studied what he said, and I said what he said. I studied what he said and how he said it. I studied the tone in which he said it, and I said things with the tone that he said it. It wasn't just repeating him. It was everything about him, even the way he dressed. And I started dressing in professional settings like he dressed in professional settings, even to the point where one time after a year or a year and a half, he came to me in a very private, high-level leadership meeting and pulled me into a corner and looked me in the eye and said, Danny, I can't tell you how much I appreciate the way you're dressed. And he goes, that means a lot to me. And then during the training, he actually ripped we were at a very fancy place, a very expensive place, hotel resort. And he actually ripped some of his other leaders on the way they were dressed and what they were wearing, and said, I'm feeding you 5-star food and putting you in 5-star places, and giving you 5-star experiences in life, and you come to my leadership meeting dressed with a hat on backwards and t-shirt and jeans and things like that. And I'm like, wow. See, he didn't have to tell me that. I paid attention to details. And so you want to pay attention to every detail of those people you have on your list.
Because I mean, it goes back to some of it's not just like your characters, but it also can be, like he said, in the way that you dress or in some of the things that you do. Maybe, I mean, I don't want to say anything that would offend anybody, but there's things that some people are not attracted to. And if some people are doing it, then it's something that other people, they just won't come around it. And so just keep in mind that even when it comes to your hygiene, even when it comes to your habits, these are all things that, you want to pay attention to and decide, is it more important than what you're wanting to accomplish? Because it's definitely making a difference in the type of people that will attract you.
Okay, Don.
Okay, so, one of the things that when I think of the law of magnetism, I think about, the way that we make people feel. People may forget about what we say, but they'll never forget about how you make them feel. So that's so important that you keep that in mind as you're having conversations with your new members, or you're having conversations with on your three-way phone calls, or even in your recruiting. Is like, how are you making somebody feel? So do you make them feel more confident, or do you make them feel doubtful? Because we can make people feel doubtful as a result of the way we're having conversations with them. Do you make people feel believed in or questioned? That's another thing, like if we're not mentoring somebody correctly, we can leave them questioning themselves, questioning if they can even do this. Like, we want them to feel the belief. And then do we make them feel valued or dismissed? Are you not listening to them? Or do they not feel heard? Do they not feel like you care about their situation? Maybe they've got things going on in life, but you're still on them about what they're not doing and their, in the daily method of operation that needs to continue. And so you're not valuing them, you're dismissing them. So which do you make them feel like? Do you make them feel hopeful or discouraged? That's another thing that's is so important, that people feel hope from you, that we are hope carriers. And that's exactly what we're bringing out to everybody. And then, do you help people feel empowered or controlled? Remember, people don't have a boss here. We don't control anyone. We want to empower people. Remember, we're transferring skills. We're believing in people before they believe in themselves. So therefore, they have to feel empowered. They have to feel better after walking away from you, getting off the phone with you, or being around you than they did when they walked in the door or got on the phone with you. So what can you do better there to encourage them? What can you do better there to compliment them, to excite them, to, give them vision? These are all things that are so important in the way that you help them feel about themselves whenever they leave the conversation.
And it's really being authentic with people. When you encourage people and you say great things to people, it's, you don't come up with canned things that you say to people just to try to be impressive, because that's so surface. We started going to church in 2002, one time where they had this lingo all through the church, that for 3 years we were there. We were there as long as we lived in Nashville, but it was, they had words like champ and strong and faith. So everywhere you went, you'd meet people in the lobby or where they go, hey, champ, you're strong, faith. And they always say those 3 words, champ, strong. And they could have cared less about you. Like, we were there for.
Did you close the deal? If somebody wanted to write those down and they lost you.
So
Go ahead.
So we were there for 3 years, and I heard that word so much, but we didn't have any intimate friendships. We didn't have any intimate relationships in those 3 years that we lived there before we moved back to Texas. And we loved the church because we loved the preaching, we loved the pastors. But as far as everybody that was in the church, they had this surface relation. Nashville, it was this Nashville wannabe, just surface stuff. And there's no magnetism there. There was a bunch of talent and a bunch of skill, but no leaders. And we were, quite frankly, just appalled that we were there for 3 years, and probably 2 of the top tithers in the church for 3 years, and didn't have one single relationship out of that church during those 3 years. But it was all the language and the way people interacted. Nobody really wanted to get to know you. No one really wanted to know your heart. So guys, you as a leader, you want to get to know people. You want to get to know their heart. You want to, and it reciprocates as well. But this business is not so much, I said it a while ago earlier when Don and I, after our prayer time, it's more, it's not about what all you have to say to someone. It's not always about LifeWave. It's really about life. The wave will come, but it's about life. It's about getting to know them and them getting to know you, instead of trying to just get a bunch of information to them. We worry about the information way too much instead of worrying about the connection. And when we get the connection right, the information comes. And that comes from being magnetic at the end of the day. So that's it for today. It's really simple. You attract who you are.
Okay, awesome. So let's stop this here real quick. There's some good teaching. That's what I got to say. So they're amazing, phenomenal leaders, and drawing on obviously decades of experience, obviously building a business like this. So what we're going to do is kind of open it up for kind of thoughts, best thoughts, some things that you may have learned, some things that you think you should apply, or just, once again, maybe a conversation from that. So if you want to, you can raise your hand. Don't physically raise it. If you can raise it online, if you physically raise it, we might be able to see you. I can't see everybody on here. But if you raise your hand, that would be amazing. If you know how to do that, just go to reactions and do one of these lovely things. I can't even raise my hand. Do one of those things. So yeah. So I think Rob's just raising his hand physically. So yes. So Rob, if you want to mute yourself, that would be great.
Oh yeah, I got to unmute myself too, huh?
Yep, that'd be a good thing.
I didn't know it was a combination lock.
There you go.
So I've got to rewatch this because I lost signal like partway through, so I didn't get all of their teaching.
Mm-hmm.
But listening to that chapter again today, what resonated with me is all the stuff that I lack to draw the people to me that we need. It's all stuff that I can learn.
Absolutely.
So
100%.
that was refreshing because I know I lack a lot. But it's all stuff that I can gain along the way and get paid as we grow.
Yeah.
100%.
Amen.
Yeah. And that's one of the things that is nice about all of this is that we're all learning and we're all growing. And the thing is, the only people that don't grow are the ones that say, I know everything. It's like, and you realize real quick, those are the ones that don't know anything. So yeah.
And he kind of spoke about them as being like kind of pompous, spastic. I like the way he describes.
Every time he says spastic, she's so
spastic energy is just it's just so funny, But we all. I mean, for me personally, I feel there's areas I definitely can grow in, and reading the chapter, there's one line that really stood out at me. If you want to grow an organization, grow the leader. Mm-hmm. And that's what this is all about, is becoming better leaders. We even heard Rick and Brittany Francis, I think last week, they were talking about how they pray for leaders of leaders, and I thought to myself, my goodness, they're elite level already and they're still praying for leaders of leaders, and they are leaders, but the thing is, we never, I don't think anybody gets to the really the top of that lid. I think there is always a little bit more that we can grow, we can stretch ourselves, and I mean, I wrote down my 3 couples that if they were not, or 3 LifeWave couples that I would love to have it in my business, if they weren't in business already. And I just thought, there's so much that they have, there's like so much fruit on the tree. And every single one of them that I wrote down has some strengths that maybe the other one, I don't see that same strength in the other couple. But I want it, I want a little bit like a smorgasbord. You're picking the best off of everything. And there's nothing wrong with that, just, if we want people to follow us, we got to lead, and we got to be good, strong leaders. So,
Yep. So who else? Who else wants to share? We got some good, strong leaders on here, so we'd love for them to share.
well, all the people that are on here are leaders,
I know.
every single one.
That was a compliment to everybody, so it didn't come across right.
Joyce is.
Yes, please,
raising
Joyce,
her
if you
hand.
wanna unmute yourself.
Okay, hi there. And so I feel like, and I'm so grateful to be a part of this community. Let me just say that. And I think that as you say, choose the 3 couples, I said, well, Father, I'm just learning about everybody, it seems. So I am gravitating, and just like Minna was saying, I like a little bit from here and a little bit from here, but everybody has energy. And I do better when there's energy and movement and enthusiasm. And that helps me. You're warm, and all those things help me to move towards. And that's if I'm that kind of person. I don't work well with persons who don't have energy. So I know what helps me move. And so I'm encouraged by what I'm hearing. And I just appreciate all that you're doing.
Awesome.
Thank
you for sharing that.
You're
Yeah.
awesome. And we're going to see you in a few days.
Yes, it's gonna be fun.
California, I'll be there.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes, excited.
And so what's great when you mention enthusiasm basically means God within. So when you understand that actually the enthusiasm that you have is usually something that people will see in you, they'll see the life that you have inside of you, the energy inside of you, and it attracts people. And so sometimes, like I said, you get attracted to people and you get repelled from people. And that's what he's talking about, people that are not magnetic, and people that are magnetic. And so there's certain things that, and also the more you get around people, you get to see who they are, what they're really like. Like one thing you find out, I always tell people, get around the leaders, this is a team. And when you get around them, you realize they're even more authentic and even more loving and more kind and more thoughtful and just edifying. And that's the way they are. And so just like Steve and Gina are very big on stage and big, larger than life, but you just talk to them one-to-one and they're just super edifying. And I learn something every time I get around them. Same thing with Danny and Diane, same thing with Ken and Diana. You get around these leaders and you get a chance to get to know them, and you get to see their authentic hearts, which makes a big, authenticity is, I think, a big attractor for me personally. Because you can see just that some people like phony baloney, like you're talking about the people of the church, talking about, say, no one really wanted to develop relationships.
Yeah.
The people that say, oh yeah, we should get together sometime. I'm like, well, let's put something in the calendar now. Well, let's just, let's keep in touch. It's like, okay, they don't have much caring. So even the one things that he was talking about too is that, once again, a magnetized person, is high lid level, confident, faith, belief, charisma, all these things are things that we can learn and grow into. But the longer you get around more people too, they'll either see because they're going to see your good and bad traits, but the more they'll be attracted to you. So I've been a part of the Manatee Chamber for many, many times. And many times I've walked in the door because I know a lot of people and I can't even get, I say 50 feet without people stopping me and talking to me, and then another person comes up, and it's great. And it's just people that and you got good relationships with. And I'm always there. One I'm always trying to do is, how can I build them up? What can I edify them with? How can I, they're like, are you always positive? Like my dad said to me one time, he said, are you always fantastic? I said, actually, normally I'm phenomenal. Today I'm just fantastic. So because it's a positive mental attitude you got to have. So who else wants to share?
We're going to wake Brendan up.
He's awake. He's got one. Yes, he's laughing. So.
At what time? 1:40 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah, talking about someone who's committed to obviously building. So.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to pick on anybody. Jason. So what have you? he's on camera, so I got to pick on him. So,
Man, well, honestly, I was in the middle of this and I did have to take a call because Maurice, one of my guys on my team, he was with the customer. So I was kind of missed a little bit of it. I'm gonna have to go back and watch some of it.
That's fine.
Of course, that does take a priority, when you're somebody on your team needs you.
100%.
So,
Yep.
but no, I mean, I heard some of so I went to I covered an event for Ken today. And I love when you walk into a room where Ken knows, or everybody knows Ken,
Mhm.
because that kind of sets the standard for you and that positive energy.
Yep.
And honestly, we're talking about the leadership too. Like Pete is a rock star. Pete is my rock star. Pete. I tell people all the time, Pete is my Joe Navarro. So I'm so hyped about that because he's killing it. But like I've learned that Ken made a very good statement that has stuck with me ever since probably my first week, that you're going to spend 80% of your time on 20% of your people. And because I know if anybody's new in here, you'll learn that you learn not to fall in love with the people you think you should fall in love with. People will let you down, and you had mentioned that before. Hey, we'll set up a time. Well, people will string you along. So I want winners. I want winners in my corner. I'd rather have 10 winners in my corners than 50 people that are going to ho-hum around, because I'm going to the top, Pete's going to the top, you guys are going to the top. That's where we're at. So, I've learned to shift my way of thinking over the last 3.5 months we've been on this and doing this. But yeah, when you first get into it, it's amazing. You think, oh, this person's going to kill it. This person's going to be a rock star. And then they ghost you. So you learn to where to put your time in and who to put your time in. Like Pete, Pete and I talk probably 100 times a day.
This is awesome.
But we're bouncing ideas off each other. I learn, even though he's in my downline, I still learn from him. He still learns from me, and we're doing stuff together. And and that's powerful to me. But that's one thing that Ken said that sticks with me every day. You're going to spend 80% of your time with 20% of your people.
That's right. Yeah, and that's one thing they talk about there. You want to build up your leaders, and you want to work with the leaders and work with the people who want to be, led, so to say. But basically they want to learn, because you'll find people that are hungry and people that are kind of like, oh, that's another Zoom. You're like, you don't get this. I mean, it's like I used this example yesterday on the training that we did, the team training. But I was watching a video where a guy said, he charges $10,000 to basically teach the same stuff he's teaching on this video. And he said, I want you to pay attention. I want you to imagine if you just gave me your American Express card or whatever, and I just charged you $10,000. Would you be just kind of haphazardly kind of listening, or would you literally be sitting down taking notes, going, oh my goodness, And that's the way you should be doing for everything, especially with a training like this, because it's the same thing that I'm thinking about. Pete, you obviously have a lot of businesses, especially franchises. They have a system. I guarantee you had to go through their system training and everything else, and it wasn't kind of like, oh, I guess I'll try to learn this. No, you had to know it, because
we were studying it. Yeah, you go for a week of training, and then you study at night, and then there's homework, and then there's a test on Friday. All the franchises have, a long training, and then we were competitive. All the franchisees are, nobody wants to get any less than 100 on the Friday test.
Yep.
Yeah, those systems are key, and the thing that can be hard to keep up over the years is that once you realize that you're always hiring and always training, and meeting those people where they're at, because there are, everybody's on a different place in their journey, but then you add into it different experience levels and different personalities, and, sales, and I'm learning networking. I think I've always been a networker. I just never, I bought an NSA water filter. I bought a subscription to like a antivirus, subscription. Then I bought a few cases of Monavie, all from a friend of mine, to try to help out. But I never was passionate enough about it to share with anybody. But everybody has a different personality. And, some people are, naturally kind of good at talking to people, but they're not always the kind of people that everybody receives. It's weird. Like, it would be weird if everybody liked you, right? The world wouldn't be the normal place, right? And so everybody's personality is different, and everybody is going to resonate with people they resonate with, right? And then as good as you can get, there are going to be people who, you might repel, because you just have, it's just that, you know, combination lock of personalities and timing. So, you know, I think the whole concept of diving, like with my team now, I'm finally, you know, starting to just call people who are already in and talking to them about their list and who they're talking to. And then I'm talking to their people, and it's starting to pop like popcorn. You know, it's like,
Yep.
I don't know who I'm going to sign up today, but it's going to be somebody almost every day. And it's somebody different. And it's a different, it might be a starter, it might be a core, it might be an advanced. And I don't know where they're coming from. But, you know, when I'm talking to people, it's that idea of put it in your own words. And so I have one person she's a rock star in life. If this clicks for her, and she finds her stride, she has the work ethic, she has the drive, she has the personality, she has the discipline. And so I said, you got to swim in the Kool-Aid. And she's like, what does that mean? And I said, that means you got to watch, instead of politics or, you know, whatever you watch on TV or whatever music you like, get on the This Is It website, get on This Is It YouTube, get on the, and it's every, like, you know, I don't have anybody on this call, I don't think, tonight, but I thought, all right, I had dinner with my family, I'm going to get close to the fire, because every time I listen to Danny McDaniels or you guys, or get on a call with Matt, or, you know, I get a little bit better. And I think I'm getting better every day.
Absolutely.
Because my knowledge is going up, and I'm starting to say things in my own way that, you know, that I hear other people saying. Mm-hmm. And also, like, I had coffee this afternoon with an old friend from a mastermind. And this guy's a $20 million net worth guy. And when I was in a mastermind with him, he was 53. Now he's going to be 70 on his next birthday. And so he's, you know, older guys get littler, you know, and they get humbler, and they get slower and quieter and more reflective. And he looked at me, and he has been wearing a patch from somebody that's high up in our company, in like Vail or wherever, you know, some fancy neighborhood. But he looked at me, and he knows me well. Masterminds are, you know, you're crying, you're up, you're down, you know, for years. And he said, man, I love the fact that I can see it in your face that you believe in this 100%.
Yeah.
And I said, I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't, you know? Yeah. And so I'm looking forward to encouraging my people to do what I did in the beginning, which was just kind of overdo it because we all have time, right? Everybody's got a walk or a commute or something. So overdoing it on listening to people in our organization, and, you know, the science side and the networking side, you can't replace that time. You know, there's nothing like diving in and putting lots of hours of listening, because it's all there. You know, people have come before us, and you know, as crazy as it is, they pick up the phone and help us, you know, which is awesome. Yeah. So it's super exciting.
That's awesome.
And that's quite correct, you know, because I talk about it as being all in, you know, and we made that decision a few months after we got, I mean, we were jumping on every single Zoom, because when we got involved, Steve and Gina and This Is the Team wasn't even existing, and we didn't even have a system. But we wanted the results. Mm-hmm. And we knew that the only way we were going to get results is actually get around the fire and get on every single Zoom that they had. So they had one on a Wednesday night, they had one on a Saturday afternoon, and we didn't miss that. And that's where we learned. We learned the verbiage. Mm-hmm. We saw the mannerisms. We saw the culture, how they expressed themselves, how they spoke about the product, how they believed in the product. And when Danny talks and Diane talk about emulating, we started to emulate and be like mini Steve and Gina out there without even knowing it.
Yeah, I haven't used the word fired up in years. And so Steve's like, fired up. I'm like, hey, I'm fired up, man.
That's super cool. Super cool.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And that's all part of the learning.
Yeah.
You know, so I want to, that's why it really, I stress the importance, you know, to people of getting on the Zooms. Like, seriously, like, what else are they doing right now? You know, what else are they doing? And the only way you get ahead is if you actually get around the fire. So,
Yeah.
but we can only encourage, and that's what the law of magnetism is all about, is are we getting to their level? Are we believing in them before they even believe in themselves?
Yes.
Because sometimes people, they see it and then they like, I don't know if I can actually do that. I've tried other things in life. I don't know if I can do this.
There isn't a day that I don't think about that myself with this. I've set some big goals, and Jason and I are in the same town, and we're talking to each other 5 times a day and lifting each other up. But every single day I go, I really have what it takes to do this for 24 months every day? And am I going to really be able to lead my team, in the way that's needed, to do this? Because I don't know, it's that imposter syndrome or whatever it is, but this is the new thing, like my town down here, I used to play volleyball with a guy in the 90s that was making 80 grand a year in NSA. And my buddy today, I found out for the first time, they were very close. And the one guy's still in Juice Plus, and my friend was on his own leg, under the, owner basically, and started NSA in Europe. And he was like, and the guy that I played volleyball with, he had a house, and then he had a lot across the street that was sand on Siesta, and so he could see the sunset. He put a volleyball court on it, and he said he didn't stop at 80 grand a month. He got to $500,000.
Yeah.
Now he's making $6 million a year in Juice Plus.
Yep.
Wow.
And I thought, man, it's 30 years ago. I can't believe I'm that old, but that guy's been, and Jason reached out to me tonight about, a venue. And I thought, my friend Mark went to Europe and rented a house and was putting ads in the paper and, having full rooms. And Jason said, I really like to do it. I said, we have to do it. So he found a venue, and so it was like, well, I don't know that I can onesie Tuesday this thing to the finish line. Right. So we gotta start having a weekly meeting where we have a lunch room and we have a dinner room, and then we got to figure out how to advertise. One thing that I like, I have everybody's got things that come to them every day, right?
Yep.
This week, my old money mailer rep who we advertised with sent me an email, and I said, yeah, let's talk tomorrow. And so she called. She's can't wait. No, I think she's actually on her patch, right? She's got her patches and she's patching. But she's got this little money mailer book that's her own now. And I said, what if I took a page every month and I put half the people under me and half the people under you, and I'll just, say I'm building a sales team, and then I'll just take those leads and split them between she and I. And I'm not even sure, binary, if that actually, maybe I should put them all under her. I don't know what I should do, but I'll find that out. And then Jason brought up how we're both really good in person. And then I, talking to everybody at the counter where we shop, or everybody that comes to see us where we work, or, everybody who comes into our lives every day, maybe we need to elevate that game a little bit and figure out how to get, like, I think it was Joe who had 2 big Zooms, right? That were kickoffs for him. So then it's like, well, rather than, only meeting new people and only reaching out one-on-one, maybe we figure out a way to get a room once a week. And now we're talking to, a dozen people, 20 people, whatever it is, because you get that energy, you get that kind of, And I said, we got to make I said, you got to find that PowerPoint presentation. He's already got it. So don't be surprised if we invite you to Florida for a couple of nights. We'll fish during the day and we'll make money at night. Yeah, every day I have to resell myself on my own ability to go out and do what I committed to do for my family.
Absolutely.
Because I don't know if I'm alone in that, but I think we all don't you?
We do it ourselves. I mean, I wake up in the morning, I've got to be accountable to me. I've got to keep doing what I know to do to get the results, because I owe it to myself, and I owe it to my team, and I owe it to us. And it's consistency. That's how we build this, it's consistency. So I understand exactly what you mean, and that's why Steve and Gina do get on the road and they do these live events, because they want to get in the room with people,
Yeah.
you know, and they want those eyeballs sitting and belly to belly, you know, with them.
Yeah,
So
kneecap
that's
to
a good,
kneecap.
yeah, and that's
Yeah.
a good thing. That's a good thing.
And so the best thing to do is have a conversation with Ken about that, because, you know, we're all local here. And so usually come to town, I'm like going, we live in,
There is
you
time.
really-
we're in Palmetto. So it's
Oh,
just,
you are? Okay, yeah.
Yes.
I'm in South Dakota. Okay.
Yeah, and I'm just in Sun City, so I'm right up the road too, so yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so the interesting part about that is, like with the law of magnetism too, I've heard it before that, you know, once again, they talk about some people are adders, some are subtractors, some are multipliers, and some are dividers. You want to get more around the adders and the multipliers and avoid the subtractors, and definitely get away from the dividers. And so that's something that you think about. What are people that what are things that attributes that you can do that you can add to somebody, and then how can you multiply somebody, as far as like, even like yesterday I invited 2 young guys. They came to work out with us last week, and I invited them to come to the Manatee Chamber. I even encouraged one guy who's talking about joining the Manatee Chamber, so he
Nice.
you know, joined it. Last night they had a couple hundred people there, and so I had David and one of our guys on our team, David Libden, was out there last night too. But I'm introducing them to a bunch of people, and so one of the guys I never met before, he actually is the new, I guess, is the business manager for the new Lincoln dealership that basically used to be Alex Karras, now it's basically a new one. So I got a chance to introduce him to him. I didn't know who the guy was. Of course,
Nice.
I talked to him about the patches, and he's talking about his pressure washer. He goes, actually, we got about 100 cars and about 50 you know, cars revolving around as far as used cars. He said, I'd like to have you maybe come out a couple times
Oh, I love it.
a month to. Well, I go, and he goes, yeah. So he's talking to him tomorrow, and it's like, and again, I'm thinking to myself, going, how can I help him with his business, right?
Right.
And when you go around with the attitude, how can I bless this person, right? And
I
so
love
whoever it is, that's the mentality that I've learned, which is
Yeah.
which is fantastic.
And that's
Be useful. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what Danny said. He said, you know, sometimes it's not always about life wave. It's about life,
Yep.
and then the wave comes. I like
Oh, I
what he
like it. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
about life, and then the wave comes.
It does.
So, you know, we go out there thinking, oh, the patch, I got to talk to people about the patch. No, just live life.
Yeah.
Just be kind. Just be genuine. Just
Be
think about the
generous.
other
Yeah.
person. Like, where are they at? What is it that they want out of this life, you know? And look to meet that need. And then the other stuff follows, you know, build
Yeah.
that relationship, the connection, and so on. So I see we already, it's almost.
Oh, I know. And as I say, so we'll go. But the last thing was that when she talked about, you know, how do you make people feel confident or doubtful, you know, believed or questioned, you know, valued or dismissed, hopeful or discouraged, empowered or controlled. And that's the something that we always talk about. We don't want to enable people, we want to empower people. And that's what's, when again, with all of this, all of us going out there, making a difference. Even tomorrow, I never know what's going to happen, but we pray for divine appointments. So I was praying with my one of my guys, Josh, you know, Josh Holdaway. And so he had 2 phenomenal appointments today that basically got 2 people signed up because they were in. And it was just divine appointments, and that's exactly how things happen. So that's what we're praying for everybody else. So the meeting's gonna be starting in just a minute. So we're gonna
Steve and Gina doing
yeah.
the
So we're always closing prayer, so we want to be able to do that. But I'm in the notes, they basically put in the chat the actual link to the Believers for Life. Basically, it's in there, but this the direct link to YouTube. But go to Believers for Life, the school platform, and Brendan, thank you for posting that in there. But that's the direct link to the YouTube link that for the 30-minute clip that we just played. So if you want to do that, you want to close this out,
Yeah,
sweetie?
I'm gonna close.
So we'll close out prayer.
Heavenly Father, we come to you in the mighty name of Jesus. We are so grateful, Father, for this opportunity to hang with leaders, Lord, on our team, and Lord, to learn from one another, Lord. None of us, we're not all there yet, Lord God, but we're getting there, and at least we are wanting to grow, and we're excited about growing. We're excited about the growth that we're going to see in each other's teams, and the excitement that will happen, and the people that we will touch along the way, all the wonderful, wonderful people that we are yet to meet, Father, the leaders of leaders that you will bring across our paths. So we are grateful for every single one that is present tonight, Father. We pray a special blessing on their lives, on their businesses, Father God, and even on their strategies, their desires, the things that they're wanting to do, Father, to get ahead, that you will bless every step that they take, that it's ordered of you. So we ask these these things, Lord, in the mighty name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Awesome. Yeah, so Steve and Gene are doing the meeting tonight. I believe they're doing the meeting tonight because they've been going past 2 nights. But I think
Yeah.
they're doing the leadership or the actual meeting tonight. So jump on that, get people on that, because every time we, even from them, just picking up things that they say, how they say it, we've learned a ton from them. So we'll be watching right now. So definitely jump onto This Is the Team Zoom. But bless you guys. Have an amazing
Good night,
day. We'll see you guys next week. But
Good
again,
night.
keep impacting
Thanks,
people's
everyone,
lives.
for
Bless
sharing.
you. Yes,
Good to
thank you so
see
much.
you.
Thank you so much.
Take care.
You're
Thanks.
welcome.
Thanks,
Bye,
Pete. Thanks for
bye.
sharing. Take care. Bye-bye.
Hey, Rob.